Welcome, beautiful, to the Creating Change podcast with Emma Bradford. Creating change to fall back in love with ourselves and life. Each episode, I'll be offering insightful stories, concepts, and practical takeaways to inspire your day, reconnecting to the authentic essence within. Are you ready, lovely, to embrace yourself even more and awaken to the magic life has to offer? Let's dive into today's episode. Hello and welcome to another episode of Creating Change with Emma Bradford. Thank you so much for joining me for this episode today. Now, as we're going through life, often when we're relating to others, whether that's with family members, friends, or romantic relationships, there can be triggers that come up. There can be things that come up that we find challenging, that we find very triggering. Perhaps hurt, rejection, abandonment wounds get pressed, and then we respond with either fear, anger, sadness, and so on. It's very easy to get caught up in the moment and to feel that all of what we're feeling is coming directly from that person or whatever that person has said or done or the situation that we're in. Thing is, often though, much of it is coming from childhood wounds. Much of it is coming from things that we experienced in the past, and whatever is in the present moment is simply just highlighting that, bringing that to our attention, that perhaps there is some hurt or anger or sadness that we haven't addressed from our childhood. We talk a lot about this in NLP, like really finding the root cause. The root cause, when did something first start? When did we first feel that? When we first decide that particular belief? It's important to be mindful of this and not to continue blaming and pointing the finger onto others in the present moment, because often it has nothing to do with them. Often what we're feeling is simply to do with what story we're playing out in our mind and what is related to our childhood wounds. Now, this doesn't mean that we need to blame and point the finger at ourselves either. We can bring tenderness to ourselves and really start acknowledging that inner child within, that little self within that simply just wants to be heard, wants to be seen, wants to be comforted. As an adult, we can reparent ourselves. We can be the parent that we felt that we never had. If there were certain aspects that we felt we were lacking from our parents or our caretakers, we can give that back to ourselves in the adult role. As we're an adult, we can step into that and give ourselves that little younger self within, that tenderness, that space to feel heard, to feel loved. There are so many different ways that we can go about this. Simply just placing a hand over our heart and saying to ourselves, I'm here, I've got you, whenever we're feeling particular emotions. Or just writing what the inner child wants to say, or getting colours and crayons and scribbling the emotions out onto paper. There are so many different ways that we can go about this. And this is something that we cover on Creating Change, the training, the group training that I have that's coming up very soon. We go over this and we actually have a whole module about the inner child. And we dive in deep. We dance with our inner child. We connect with our inner child. It's so beautiful. We've had in the past workshops where we've all brought in photos of our younger self and we've connected to our younger self. And really acknowledge what our younger self was looking for in the past that felt it didn't receive that from our parents, whatever that was. How can we give that to our younger self now that we're an adult? Because when we start doing this, then all of the things that happen in our day-to-day life won't be so triggering anymore. If we deal with the hurt from the past, then we won't feel so triggered if something happens in the moment. I remember in a past relationship that In the moment, I didn't feel acknowledged. I felt that I was invisible. And I noticed that it was an opportunity to A, either start an argument, or B, tend to myself and reparent myself and give that presence and that love to myself and see and witness and acknowledge myself rather than seeking it out from other people. That's the thing. Often we're seeking outside of ourselves what ultimately we need to give to ourselves. And when we start giving it to ourselves, then we don't really need to seek it out there from other people. So in that past relationship, what I did is I communicated to my partner at the time and I said, I need to take half an hour out. I need to spend some time with myself and then I'll be back. And that's exactly what I did. I spent half an hour with myself, acknowledged myself, how I was feeling, and then came back in a much better place and was able to communicate to him exactly how I felt, what I noticed that I was looking for, and how I gave that to myself, and also what I would like to see in the relationship. So just take a moment to notice with your current relationships, friendships, family dynamics. Are you currently holding on to expectations from others? What are you looking for? What is your inner child really wanting? And how can you offer that for yourself? Choosing to reparent your inner child, to give your inner child what ultimately you're looking for. And it can be so simple. It can just be a tender word, a kind word, being gentle with ourselves. So one practical tip, and this is something that I've been doing for so long, and it's such a beautiful practice. I have a photograph of myself when I was younger, and I have it on my meditation table. I look at that photograph every single day. I tell my younger self that she's beautiful, that I love her. I spend a moment to acknowledge her, to thank her. This is such a beautiful practice that we can do, that we can have this image on our phones or on our table or on a notice board, just to spend a moment each day acknowledging that part of ourselves. And if you'd like to explore this further, then do come and join us on Creating Change. It's such a beautiful way to explore this through dance and through creativity. We have a lot of fun on this training. I will link all the details in the show notes and you can explore that. We start in March, so very soon, and you can join us for the fun if it resonates for you. There are so many different topics that we cover over the 5 modules. And there are many different options as well. There's the custom option or the complete option. So you can choose exactly what works for you, whether you want to join for the whole thing or part of it. It's your choice. We will dive in deep and really explore what our younger self wants. We will dive into numerology. We will do creative arts. We will look at our values. We will look at our shadow. We will look at our relationship with our body. We will look at emotions. We will look at beliefs, manifesting, our connection with Mother Earth, our connection with something beyond our identity. We will look at so many things, and it's all fun, practical exercises. It's very, very dynamic. It's so much fun. I've absolutely had so much fun on these trainings, and the feedback as well from the students has been brilliant. It's a wonderful way. This is a thing like self-awareness and self-development doesn't need to be serious. Like we can actually have fun with it and play. And that's the ultimate essence of the inner child is play. How can we bring play back into life? How can we play with ourselves in the playful, creative sense, like bringing creativity back into our lives, bring play into our day-to-day life, whether that's through dancing, through playing with family members like young children. If you've got young children in the family, that's a wonderful way to reconnect to the inner child, whether that is simply just being creative and playful in the kitchen, trying something new, exploring. Children are wonderful at tapping into that curious mindset and just getting curious about life. There are so many ways that we can go about this, and I'd love to have you join us if it's something that resonates. So the details are in the show notes, and until next time, I'm wishing you a wonderful, wonderful week. How will you bring creativity and play into your life? Thank you so much for listening to this episode, beautiful. You're amazing. All resources and links can be found on my website, www.emmabradford.net. Link is in the show description. Do come and join my community and share your takeaways from this episode. I'd really love to hear. And don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss any future episodes. Until next time, I wonder, what magic will you experience in life today?